everybody. Welcome to Vinyl Treasures. I'm your host, Johnny G. John Galindo, coming to you live each and every Saturday, only here on Topshelfoldies. Want to welcome you to the May 16th, 2020 Vinyl Treasure Show. Glad you can join Johnny G on this kind of warm day. I am broadcasting up in the attic, so I am a little hot here, and I didn't get a chance to really clean out the air conditioning, so it's a little bit warm. I got my what's this, Astro t-shirt on again, but welcome to the Vinyl Treasure Show. I spin original vinyl 45s and 78s for tonight's show. We opened up with the 78, West Coast wailing saxman Mr. Joe Houston, his fifth release on the Bahari Brothers modern record label, a song he wrote. It's called Going Crazy, as I was going crazy today and driving Charlene crazy too, by the way. But he has so many excellent honkers on various labels, but this one was 78, and this one from November 1953 on Modern, as I mentioned, Joe Houston and his orchestra with Going Crazy. So without further ado, let's open up here. The vocal portion got very few flip sides from last week, but we're going to open up with one. And last week I played a song by the Winners, actually a song I featured the Winners on Eddie Heller's Rainbow record label. Actually, it was George Tompkins that requested the flip side. It was called Can This Be Love? But the A-side is a cool rock and roll jumps. Let's go back to March of 1956 for the Winners on Rainbow. It's called Rockin' and Rollin'. That's a cool rockin' tune there by the Winners. Probably something that Alan Freed would probably play. He was good friends with label owner Eddie Heller there on the Rainbow label. March 1956, the Winners there. Rockin' and Rollin' is the name of the tune, and they're out of Brooklyn, New York. They also recorded as the Victorians on the Saxony and the Selma label. We go back to the 78s now, and this is actually a requested flip side from last week. On a 78 here, I featured the Gay Tunes, another group from Brooklyn, and their release on the Timely label. It was called Thrill of Love. Listener Daryl Letts in our YouTube chat room, he asked if I could play the flip side, co-written by the lead singer. His name is Earl Chubby Curtin. And this one from September 1953, going out to Daryl, the Gay Tunes on Timely on a 78. It's called Why Leave Me This Way?
Oh, why do you sway? Why do you say you are mine no more? Oh, why must I? Why must I? Why do I feel this way? Oh, why I feel this way? Why must I say you are mine no more? Oh, why must I cry? Why must I sigh? Why do I feel this way? Do 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 do. Oh, why must I cry? Why must I sigh? Why do I feel this way? Oh, why I feel this way? Why must I say you are mine no more? Oh, why I feel this way? Why must I say you are mine and more? Oh, why I feel this way? Why must I say you are mine no more? Oh, why must I cry? Why must I sigh? Why do I feel this way? Oh, why must I cry? Why must I sigh? Why do I feel this way?
B-sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. That one there going out to Daryl Letts. Was like reciting the same words over and over again, which a lot of times they did. But listen, sounds really nice on a timely 78 there, September 53, the Gay Tunes. It's WH. I had trouble typing this on my cheat sheet. WH-Y-Y, leave me this WA-AY-AY. How am I supposed to say that one there? Anyway, it's on a timely 78. And I also have this one on the 45, Red Vinyl 45 plays pretty horrible, by the way. With a 45 stylus, you have to use the 78 stylus, but doesn't sound anywhere near as good as that 78. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening, spinning original vinyl 45s and 78s. Let's continue here. And actually, I called it Thrill of Love. It's Thrill of Romance. You have to excuse an old guy as we continue here. And up next, a gal from Evanston, Illinois. She does a nice version of the song Since I Fell For You. Her name is Dorothy Logan, and she's being backed up by a group called The Gems. The Gems, they are uncredited here on the label, but they also recorded on the Drexel label. We go back to June 1954. Dorothy Logan and The Gems on Drexel with Since I Fell For You. As Dorothy Logan and the uncredited group, they're called the Gems, have some cool releases on the Drexel label. June 1954, Dorothy Logan with the Gems, as I mentioned, a nice rendition of Since I Fell for You. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here, going back and forth, 45, 78, back to the 78s. This is going to be the oldest 78 I'll be featuring tonight, and it's from way back, August of 1951, and this never came out on a 45, by the way. The originals, or the true originals of this, are only on a 78, and it's the 6th release on Bess Berman's Apollo record label for the Larks. The Larks. It features Alan Bunn on lead, and this was a big top 10 R&B hit for them. We go back to August 1951. The Larks on the Apollo record label. It's called Little Sidecar.
I'm in love with you, baby. Let me ride in your automobile. I'm in love with you, baby. Let me ride in your automobile. You got a good little car, baby. Too many drivers at the wheel. Now listen to me, baby. You can't do this to me. You said you had one driver, but now you've got 2 or 3. Yes, pretty baby. Let me ride in your automobile. Oh, you've got a good little car, baby. Too many drivers at the wheel. You got 2 daytime drivers, 2 that drive at night, and there ain't no 2 drivers that will treat your little car right. Yes, please, please, baby. Let me ride in your automobile. Oh, you've got a good little car, baby. Too many drivers at the wheel. I checked your oil and water, and your water was low. Then I checked your batteries, and your horn wouldn't blow. Please, 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 baby. Let me ride in your automobile. Cause you've got a good little car, baby. Too many drivers at the wheel. You said you wanted to know just the way I feel. So put one arm around me and the other on the wheel. Please, please, baby. Let me ride in your automobile. Cause you've got a good little car, baby. Too many drivers at the wheel. It don't ride like no buggy.
From August 1951 there, that's an early 78. Early 78 by the Larks with Alan Bunn on lead, a.k.a. Tar Heel Slim. He would record as Tar Heel Slim and Ann later on. I have records on the Fire label. But anyway, those are the Larks. The Larks left Little Sidecar on Bess Berman's Apollo record label. Now, initially, the Larks, they were called the Southern Harmonaires. Then I think they became the 5 Larks, and then finally the Larks. Johnny G here spinning original vinyl 78s and 45s. Let's go back to the 45s, this time Monty Bruce's Bruce label for a group from my neck of the woods, this group from White Plains, New York, and Monty Bruce was in the audience that night that this group took first place at the Apollo Theater Amateur Show, performing the Drifters' Money Honey. He heard them record that, and he signed them over to his Bruce record label, and they released this 45 on the Bruce label. Features the bass of the group, Charles Stoney Dimbo, and tenor Charles Pop Gray on lead, dual leads you'll hear, and it's from October 1954. Not an easy 45 to find. These are the master tones on the Bruce label. This is the A-side. It's called What wait. What'll you... Wait, did I write that down for... What'll you do... What'll you do? It's kind of weird. I'm weird. Excuse me for a second. I cannot break this next 78 that I'm putting on the turntable. I just can't do that. So a little bit slow with this. I got to tell you, where is Braden? Because I'm basically playing these 78s for Braden, although I get a lot of response on the 78s. And he hasn't commented on last week's show, but these are especially for him because I told him I would play these 78s for him. But anyway, I enjoy doing it. I do. But anyway, we just heard the Master Tones there, October 1954. That's the A side on the Bruce label. What Do You Do? Is kind of weird how they wrote that, but it was Times Square Records owner Slim Rose that was instrumental with getting Leo Rogers. He was the one that purchased all the Bruce masters to re-release this record in 1961, mainly for the flip side, which was called Tell Me. All the record collectors went crazy for the B-side of that and actually sold more records by the end of 1962 on the early 60s press than when this record originally came out back in October of 54. But anyway, so I'll play Tell Me next week. You'll hear that one. That was the side that all the collectors were buying. But anyway, let's continue here. We go back to the 78s. This time, Sam Phillips's Sun record label. I posted this one up on my Facebook wall. You can check it out. It was hard. I was afraid I was going to crack the record in my scanner, so I had to leave the top up. And I left it in the sleeve there because I can't crack this record. It is too expensive. But anyway, it's my understanding that there are only 2 or 3 known copies of this on a 45, and there are some on a 78. I know some people that do have the 78s, but I happen to have one too, a mint copy. And this group is from Nashville, Tennessee. They formed while incarcerated in the Tennessee State Penitentiary, where they recorded this and other sides for Sam Phillips' Sun label. Now, this is their 4th release on Sun, and it features Johnny Bragg on lead. This is not an easy record to find anywhere, but anyway, let's give it a spin here. July 1954, The Prisonaires on the Sun label. This is on a 78. It's called There Is Love in You.
There is joy in you. I want won't you slow there is peace in you everywhere you go. Somehow I seem to follow right in your footsteps. I'm so glad my heart won't let us stay apart. There is hope in you. Faith keeps me strong. There is rest in you when you're in my arms, just as you are is just the way I like for you to be. I need you, yes, I do. There is love in you, just as you are is just the way I like for you to be. I need you, yes, I do. There is love in you.
Yeah, that's recorded in Tennessee, the Tennessee Penitentiary there, the Prisonaires, Johnny Bragg and the Prisonaires there, July 1954 release on Sam Phillips' Sun record label. I don't have it on a 45, I have it on a 78. It's called There Is Love in You. Very rare disc. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here. And here's a request for listener George Tompkins. We go back to the Drexel label out of Chicago, Illinois. And did you know there were only two vocal groups that recorded on the Drexel label? Those were the Gems that we heard backing up Dorothy Logan, and the other, they had other releases, of course, and this group that only had one release on the Drexel label. They're called the Gay Notes, and this was their only release, and the group is really a mystery. No one seems to know who they really are, so this is going out to George from August 1955. The Gay Notes on Drexel. It's called For Only a Moment.
I held you so close to me. You're gone, but in memory I'm still holding you. And so for an hour I dreamed of you constantly, wrapped up in a reverie of that moment with you. And so for a day, sweetheart, 24 little hours,
thoughts of you on the bike, come sunshine, who's shower.
and so for a lifetime of
happiness. I love it all, I guess, to that moment with you.
Darling, while the sun comes shining in through my window pane, baby, deep in my heart, I can't feel no pain. Why? Because I know that all your love belongs to me.
And so for a lifetime, a lifetime of happiness, I love it all, I guess, to that moment with you. Happiness, I love it all, I guess, to that moment
with you. Good to the last drop. That's going out to George Tompkins, The Gay Notes. The Gay Notes from August 1955. It's on the Drexel label out of Chicago, Illinois. You only can guess that that group is out of Chicago. The Gay Notes there with For Only a Moment. For Only a Moment, Johnny G gets messed up sometimes when I'm, putting the records on the turntable and whatnot. I'll try not to do that, but let's continue here. We go back to the 78s, and it's always great to have a Flexi 78 because you know why? They don't break as easily as the normal Slate 78s, and the sound is phenomenal, I have to say. Really, basically for all 78s, if you have the right equipment, the right needle, and they are clean, they sound fantastic. I know many of you out there collect the 78s, and they're cheaper, but they're heavier. They are heavier. If I brought all my 78s up here in the attic, I would collapse the floor. I know my father will kill me. But anyway, this next song is great, especially on a Flexi disc. It's on the Timely label. We go back to the Timely label. This one by the Charmers. They're from Harlem, New York. It's the first of two they recorded on the actually, I take it back. Their first two came out on the Central label. They had a female lead. Her name was Vicky Burgess. Vicky Burgess, again, would join the Joytones after she left the Charmers, but she left the group, and then they signed with Timely Records, and this is their first of two, which also comes on a 45, but the 78 plays so much better. It features Eugene Sonny Cook on lead. We go back to October 1954, the Charmers on Timely on a 78. It's a DJ 78. It's called I Was Wrong.
If you will listen, then you will know. If I could tell you I love you so. I was wrong. Forever letting you go. Just thought that I'd let you know that, darling, I was wrong. Darling, I was wrong. I'm drifting on, lying like a bird in a storm. But it could do me no harm, 'cause, darling, I was wrong, so wrong, oh, so wrong. When we said goodbye, I never thought
That's a great tune, and on a flexi disc, it plays so nice. See, the DJ's got the great stuff that's supposed to last with continuous plays. That's how you want it. That's the Great Charmers there, October 1954, on the Timely label. That's their first release, I Was Wrong, on a 78. Eugene Sonny Cook on lead. Now, their second one came out only on a 78. I think there were boots, though, that came out. Ratio put out boots of some of those that only came out on a 78, because I think I have it on red vinyl anyway. And George Tompkins said that this group also recorded as the Corals on the Decca record label. I have that record too. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here. We go back to the 45s, and on last week's Vinyl Treasure Show, I played a request for the Colonel. He requested the B-side to the Ravel's second release on the Sound label. It was called Dream My Darling Dream. That group out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, featured Sam Hart on lead. He's also doing lead on the flip side, the A-side, which is a jump. And we're going to give it a spin here from February 56. These are the Ravels on the Sound label. It's on a 45. It's called Cha-Cha Tony.
Well, the other night, as I was walking past the dance hall, people were talking. I decided to go on in, and that's when I heard the band begin. Cha-cha Tony, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha Tony, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha Tony, cha-cha-cha, 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 cha-cha-cha. I walked into the dance just by chance. I saw a girl who could really dance. I said, I'm not familiar with these steps. Could you show me just what to do? And I'll be very grateful to you. Cha-cha Tony, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha Tony, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha Tony, cha-cha-cha, 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 cha-cha-cha. Show me how to cha-cha, Tony. Show me how to cha-cha, Tony. Show me how to cha-cha, Tony, and I'll be very grateful to you. I am ready to compete. Cha-cha Tony, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha Tony, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha Tony, cha-cha-cha, 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 cha-cha Tony, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha Tony, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha Tony, cha-cha-cha.
February 56 release there for the Ravels on the Sound label out of Philadelphia, PA. Cha-Cha Tony, that was the A-side. Sam Hart on lead. They did a lot of records, very well known in the Philadelphia area. And again, their Dead Man Stroll, that was their big hit, was pushed by Dick Clark on his American Bandstand show. As we continue here, back to the 78s for the Great Penguins. Now, after complaining to Dootsy Williams about royalty payments for their hit Earth Angel and really getting nowhere, I think they might have eventually sued to get their money. I think they did. But it was Buck Ram who was successfully managing the Platters at the time, was able to get them to get them over to the Mercury label and sign them to the label. And this was their third release on the Mercury label. I'm playing it on a 78. It features dual leads on this, Dexter Tisby and Cleve Duncan. It was written by group member Curtis Williams from August 55. The Penguins with Devil That I See.
Devil that I see, you know just what
I'm the victim of your charm. When I hold you in my arms, I don't care about the world, or what some people might say. I've had lots of trouble, but I love my baby anyway. Oh, devil that I see, you know just what you mean to me. I'm the victim of your charm. When I hold you in my arms, I don't care about the world or what some people might say. I've had lots of trouble, but I love my baby anyway. Devil that I see, you know just what you mean to me. I'm the victim of your charm. Oh, devil that I see, devil that I see.
We'll send that one out to Darrell Letts. That's his favorite Penguins tune. I like that one too. That one and My Troubles Are Not at End. Those are my two favorite ones on the Mercury label by the Penguins. But that one there, August 1955 on the Mercury label on a 78. Devil That I See. What a great record that is. That's their third release on the Mercury label. Johnny G here. We are continuing 1950s and early 60s, 45s and 78s. I pulled out 14 78s for tonight. And we go back to the 45s. Actually, this is going to be a twin spin on the RCA subsidiary Groove label. I have a 45 first, a 78 next. Now, this is a request by the doo-wop couple Ron and Dorothy Feba. They are this group, also another unknown group, probably though out of New York City, and discovered by the writing team of Bob Crew and Frank Slay. They were finding talent in New York City at the time, and they were writing songs for these groups and hoping to have a hit, an R&B hit in a lot of the groups here. But anyway, it's a request for Ron and Dorothy. They're called the Twilighters. The Twilighters, and there are lots of Twilighter groups. This one is TWI-LIGHTERS. It's from May of 56. It's on the Groove record label, the Twilighters with Sittin' in a Corner.
What do you do, dear, when the well runs dry? What do you do, dear, when the well runs dry? You go sitting in the corner, you gonna sit and cry. You go hoo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-ah, hoo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-ah, hoo-doo-doo-doo, all night long, hoo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-ah, sitting in the corner, you gonna sit and cry. How can I sitting in the corner, you're gonna sit and cry.
That's going out to Ron and Dorothy, the doo-wop couple. They're the Twilighters, May 1956. On the Groove label, it's called Sittin' in a Corner. Maybe they are the Qs. I don't know. A lot of times, as time goes on, this information is harder and harder to find. We try to get it from those group members that are alive. So many have left us now, and then sometimes you can't even remember. So many things are going on. I don't remember what I ate for lunch today, let alone to remember something back when you were 17 years old. But anyway, let's continue here. And I tell you, Twin Spin on the Groove record label, we had a 45 by the Twilighters. How about a 78 now by a group out of Detroit, Michigan? They had 4 releases on the Groove label. 2 of their members of this group would later on become very successful. They would have successful solo careers. One was Al Hamilton. He would later record as Al Kent. And the lead singer of this group, his name is Eugene Ronnie Hamilton. He would later record as Ronnie Savoy. But prior to that, they were members of a group called the Nightcaps, and this is their debut single from December 55 on the Groove label, featuring it on a 78. Those heavy 78s, they can take a lot of abuse. I think sometimes these real heavy 78s, there's like sometimes there's some cardboard in between them. I notice them on a lot of those older Columbia 78s, but I don't want to try to find out. Anyway, but let's give it a spin here. December 55, the Nightcaps on Groove with A Kiss and a Vow.
Just a kiss and a vow, and then we were wed. So easily done, so easily said. Now it's hard to forget. Just one tender kiss and a few tender words that were spoken like this. And to hold till death do us part. You said with your lips, but not with your heart. Still I'm saving my love till you learn somehow the real meaning of a kiss and a vow.
Just a kiss and a vow.
That's a cool tune there. That's the Nightcaps. The Nightcaps from Lost My Place. The Nightcaps, December 1955. It's on the Groove label, A Kiss and A Vow, the first of 4 on Groove. That plays nice, that 78. The 45s play nice too. If you have those RCA and Groove records, they play pretty nice. Unless you get the end of the stamper, then they don't play nice. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here. Got another request for the Colonel now, as the lead singer for this group was discovered by Richard Berry. Now, this gal was originally from Dallas, Texas, and she recorded this song when she was only 13 years old. Now, they're called Little Clyde and the Teens, and Little Clyde is really Clyde King. This is early Clyde King. So by request for the Colonel, it's on the RPM record label, May 1956. Little Clyde and the Teens on RPM. It's called Oh Me.
Oh, me, I'm in love. Can't you see I'm acting strange in everything I do? Oh, you the one. Don't you know I'm all mixed up whenever I'm with you? My heart beats much faster whenever you are near, and I'd like to tell you that I love you, love you, love you, dear. But why? Tell me why can't you say you love me too? 'Cause I'm in love with you. My heart beats much faster whenever you are near, and I'd like to tell you that I love you, love you, love you, dear. But why? Tell me why can't you say you love me too? 'Cause I'm in love with you. Can't you say that I'm in love with you?
As by request for the Colonel there, Little Clyde and the Teens, young Clyde King. That's her first record on the Bahari Brothers RPM record label, May 1956. Oh Me is the name of that one. Of course, she went on to record into the 60s. She's got some very rare recordings in the mid-1960s. I have those records. I play them on my All 60s show. Unfortunately, she passed away at the age of 75 on January 7th of 2019, last year. Unfortunate there, but left us with some wonderful tunes as we continue here for a Saturday evening. Back to the 78s, this time to the choral label for the Billy Williams Quartet, and they recorded a lot of cover songs during their time recording for the choral label. This happens to be one first done, though, by Claudia Swan and Buddy Griffin on the Chess label. And it says here, a vocal quartet with Alan Freed's Rock and Rollers. You're going to hear Alan Freed in the beginning of this when I start to spin it. This was a #1 record on WMEX in Boston, Massachusetts. Let's go back to January 1955 for the Billy Williams Quartet. Billy Williams Quartet on the choral label. This is on a 78. It's called I Wanna Hug You, Kiss You, Squeeze You.
Yeah, we're gonna rock and roll with the great Billy Williams Quartet. And I wanna hug you, kiss you, squeeze you. Let's go!
I ain't got nobody to tell my troubles to. I've been trying for 10 years through toil and tears just to get
kiss you, squeeze you till my arms fall off. I wanna hug you, kiss you, squeeze you till my arms fall off. Then hear you whisper you can hurt me, but baby don't desert me. Real soft. Now won't you come a little closer, baby, and this you can plainly see. I need to love you so bad, it's driving me mad. That's what's the matter with me. I wanna hug you, kiss you, squeeze you till my arms fall off. I wanna hug you, kiss you, squeeze you till my arms fall off. Then hear you whisper you can hurt me, but baby don't desert me. Real soft. Squeeze you till my arms fall off. I wanna hug you, kiss you, squeeze you till my arms fall off. Then hear you whisper you can hurt me, but baby don't desert me. Real soft. Then hear you whisper you can hurt me, but baby don't desert me. Real soft. Then hear you whisper you can hurt me, but baby don't desert me. Real soft. Then hear you whisper.
Cover tunes here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. That is the Billy Williams Quartet. Quartet, right? Not quintet. Quartet. January 1955, along with Alan Freed and his rock and rollers there in the background. Featured it on a Coral 78. It was called, well, Fred wants to know the exact title, and I'll take it off there, we'll read it. I wrote down here, I want to hug you, kiss you, squeeze you. There is something in parentheses under there, and that was a big #1 record on WMEX in Boston, Massachusetts. Now, Billy Williams, he dates back to the 30s. He was the lead singer of the Charioteers. Then he started this group in 1950. And I think also when American Bandstand went national back in 1957, the first act on American Bandstand on that national show was Billy Williams. And he was singing, I'm going to sit right down and write myself a letter. I think that was the first group to perform nationally on American Bandstand. So now for Fred, we're going to read the title, what's under here, and it says, I want to hug you, kiss you, squeeze you, and in parentheses it says, that's what's the matter with me. There you go. I will show that to you, Fred, here as we continue here for a Saturday evening. And we continue now with a request for listener George Tompkins. We're waiting for him to get to change floors. He's going to another floor to listen because some people have to go to sleep in his house. But anyway, we're going to go back to the Mercury label, 1957 here. And in 1957, Mercury Records Eastern A&R chief, he was Bob Shad. He discovered this vocal quartet and he signed them to a contract, and they were all in their early teens at the time, and this happened to be their only release. So this is going out to George Tompkins from July 1957. They're called the Little Beats. The Little Beats on the Mercury label. It's called Someone for Me.
Someone for me to
for me. I'm looking for someone to love. Help me, someone from above. Anyone to love. Anybody is good enough for me. Just you wait and see. Just you wait and see. I'm looking for a sweetheart to love only me. Anybody is good enough. Anyone for me. I'm looking. I'm looking for someone to love. Help me, someone from above. Anyone to I'm looking for a sweetheart to love only me. Anybody is good enough. Anyone for me. I'm looking. I'm looking. Someone for me.
Kenny Leeds here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. That one there going out to George Tompkins. What a cool record that is. July 1957. They're called The Little Beats. The Little Beats on the Mercury label. Great two-sided 45, by the way. It's called Someone for Me. There's hopefully some song for you here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Hope you're digging on the cool tunes. If you like the show, those of you watching in the YouTube chat, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can subscribe to the channel. You'll get notifications when I'm on live. Haven't done I was thinking of doing a live broadcast at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you're around, you'll be able to get it on your phone. You'll get notification. You can kind of tune in when you like, but I was going to go through some records to see if they're, if I should play them on the show. It would be just for fun. If you like the records, I'll leave them on. It's just for fun. I can really do this anytime. As soon as this pandemic is over, I'm going to have some collectors up here. I know John Clemente said I would love to have him up here again as a guest host, featuring some cool girl group sounds out of his collection and other things too. It doesn't really make any difference, but I'd like to get some collectors to come up and play their records here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Let's continue now. We go back to the 78s. We go back out to Los Angeles, California with a group called The Chimes. They recorded 2 on Art Roop's specialty label. This is their second. This is my favorite by the group. It was written by the lead singer. His name is Horace Wooten. Let's give a listen to The Chimes on a 78 from April 1956. It's called Pretty Little Girl.
Pretty little girl, love only you always.
My pretty little girl, love only you. My pretty little girl, I want you to be mine always, 'cause I love only you.
Little girl, love only you always.
Oh, my pretty little girl, love only you, and hoping that you'll always be true, 'cause I love only you.
I love only you.
I dream of you each night as I sleep, hoping that we
that tune there by the Chimes, April 1956. Horace Wooten on lead. Pretty Little Girl came out on the Specialty label, featured that on a 78. Now, Horace Wooten, he was also a member of the group The Cupids on Aladdin, and also a member of the Lions that recorded on the Rendezvous label. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, got a rare 45 up next as we go to Bobby Robinson's Fury label, and it's a request for the Colonel. Now, the lead singer for this group was a member of the R&B duo Charles and Carl that recorded for the Red Robin record label. He was also a member of the Valentines. His name was Carl Hogan, and he's backed up by a group here called the Miracles, who were Leon Briggs, Joe Brisbane, Irving Lee Gale, and Jerry Moore. So by request for the Colonel, let's give a listen to Carl Hogan and the Miracles. It's a rare 45 on the Fury label, February 57. It's called Your Love, parentheses, Is All I Need. A wonderful tune going out to the Colonel there. Great tune there, Carl Hogan. Carl Hogan and the Miracles, February 1957 on the Fury label, the Maroon Fury label. Your Love Is All I Need. What a great record that is. Yes, John Clemente. That Carl also did lead with the Valentines, Don't Say Goodnight. But that's a cool record and expensive 45 for you collectors out there. Let's continue here with the 78s. If you like the 78s, send Johnny G an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com, because it takes me a long time to get these 78s prepared to play. It's much easier to play around with 45s, probably a lot easier for MP3s, but when you're playing real records, it's a little bit difficult as we continue here, but I love the sound on the 78s. It's well worth it, I say. We go back to the West Coast. We go back to the 78s for this group out of Los Angeles, and this group has the other distinction, very similar distinction to the Moonglows, aka the Moonlighters, to have two songs out at the same time on the same label, but with different group names. Again, the Moonglows and the Moonlighters had records out. I guess, one on Checker, one on Chess, but still the same family. And then this group, the Jacks, aka the Cadets, they had also two records out at the same time. I don't know if it was this particular record. It probably was not. But anyway, this is my favorite by the group. Features Willie Davis on lead. We go back to the 78s from April 1956. These are the Jacks on the RPM record label with Why Did I Fall in Love?
Why did I ever believe in you? What makes you treat me the way you do? Why did you tell me we were through? Why did I fall in love? Why did I fall for your sweet caress and give up my heart for you to possess? I made a bid for happiness. Why did I fall in love? I trusted you, my darling, with all of the faith I know, but you let me down, you left me all alone. Oh, tell me, why did you go? Why can't I find peace of mind? Why do I cry for you all the time? Why do I love you, my darling dear? Why did I fall in love? I trusted you, my darling, with all of the faith I know, but you let me down, you left me all alone. Oh, tell me, why did you go? Why can't I find peace of mind? And why do I cry for you all the time? Why do I love you, my darling dear? Why did I fall in love? Why did I fall in love?
Those are the Jacks, aka the Cadets, on the RPM record label Why Did I Fall in Love, released April 1956. Willie Davis on lead. And I have the 45. I have it on the blue label. I think that was the first press. I think I also have it on the black label, but my 78 is on the red label. I guess that record maybe came out on the red label too, because RPM were all, and Duotone and all those labels, they were all running out of colors, so they would use all different kinds of paper anyway. As we continue here, Johnny G babbling on. Let's go back to the 45s now. This one on Johnny Vince's Ace label. This group, though, is from Columbus, Ohio, and this was their only release, but I love this tune here. I really do. It features Huey Smith on piano. I think he played piano on all of the Ace sessions. Well, maybe not the early sessions, but around this period, or at least the late 50s, early 60s, into the 60s. But anyway, it features the lead here of Forrest Porter on lead. This is a great record from July 1957. They're called the Supremes on the Ace label. It's called Just for You and I.
We have never met.
Darling, when the dawn comes up and the moon rolls by, I count each and every star, just wonder where you are. While the moonlight sings a lullaby, darling, just for you and I.
Love that record. I wonder if that's got to come on a 78. It's got to be available on a 78, but that is a great record. I forget who I bought that from. I paid $20 for that record so many years ago. So yeah, I think he had like a few copies, mint copies. That's July 1957, The Supremes. The Supremes on Johnny Vincent's Ace label. Forrest Porter, he's the lead singer, and it's called Just For You and I. Forrest was also a member of the Four Pharaohs, by the way, that group from Columbus, Ohio. Johnny G here, spinning original vinyl 4578s. I neglected to show you guys in the webcam. I was doing something on the computer. I apologize. I will show you these, those of you watching on the YouTube broadcast. But let's go back to the 78s, back to Bess Berman's Apollo label for a group that formed at Charles Evans High School in Manhattan. They are a favorite here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, and this is the B-side to their second of 4 releases on the Apollo label. It was written by the baritone of the group. His name is Bobby Thomas, but it features Alton Campbell on lead. Let's go back to June of 1957 for the cellos. The cellos on the Apollo label on a 78, and their tune called Under Your Spell.
Do, do, do. You came in my life and broke my heart in two. I'm under your spell.
157 release there. Alton Campbell and the Cellos on the Apollo label. Featured it on the 78. Wow, when I saw that 78, I was like, wow, this is my only Cello 78. A cool tune. That's the B-side, their second of four. Under Your Spell. Of course, the A-side was called I Don't Like the Juicy Crocodile. I do not like that song. I do like the Rang Tang Ding Dong. I do like that side, but I don't like that one. And I don't think I think Beg for Your Love is their one of their better records. I don't like the flip of that one either. Anyway, let's continue here. Got to say hello to Matey Campboy. She's in the YouTube chat room. She's just in time for her request as we go back to Los Angeles, California, to Leon Renee's Class label for this request for Matey, and it's a duet or duo. They're called Terry and Jerry. They had two releases on the Class label. Now, Matey requested their first, and Terry and Jerry are really Billy Terry and Alan Rutledge. And they also wrote this tune. This is going out to Matey from April 1958 on the Cash label, Terry and Jerry. It's called People Are Doing It Every Day.
I go to see my Gloria. We sit down and talk. Later on we get up and go for a walk. It's one thing I know, dear, and darling, I'm sure people are doing it every day. Gloria, my darling, you know that it's true. Anything I have belongs to you. When we get together, people will talk, for people are doing it every day. I often wondered, why do people say inside? For I know we're two of a kind.
Well, darling, can't you see we were meant to be?
You stay on my mind all the time. Well, why do I worry about what people say when we're only doing what they do each day? When we get together, people will talk, for people fall in love every day. When we get together, people will talk, for people fall in love every day.
As by request for Matey Campboy, Terry and Jerry from April 1958. It's on Leon Renee's Class label out of California. It's People Are Doing It Every Day. It's too bad they're not doing that every day. They're either wearing their mask, as Dave the Rave mentioned, or standing 6 feet apart. That's what we're doing every day. But hopefully not for long as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Let's go back to the 78s, and a late one here for this New Haven, Connecticut group. You all know they are the Five Satins. Now, all the records I featured tonight on a 78, with the exception of those that only come on a 78, I have on 45, but the sound quality I think is so much better on the 78s. So, and the logos are pretty cool. I love looking at the logos on these 78s. They just amaze me. Not to mention, I said the sound quality too. But this side features Bill Baker on lead. This one from November 1957. The Five Satins on the Ember label on a 78. The song is called A Million to One.
shot in the dark is all I can show, dear, is a tear and a sigh. The old college tried, but it couldn't be done. But instead, I kept on playing, just for fun, 1,000,000 to 1. Now I've learned my lesson. Chances to win were 1,000,000 to 1. 1,000,000 to 1.
Those are the Five Satins with Bill Baker on lead. Fred Paris was in the service. Bill Baker filled in. The group continued to become popular. It did. They had hits without Fred Paris. He did return, though, to the group. But that's on a 78. Sounds pretty nice on a 78. An Ember 78. Al Silver's Ember label there, November 1957. The Five Satins with 1,000,000 to 1. Johnny G doesn't like to take those odds 1,000,000 to 1. And I used to be a risk taker, but not anymore. I don't do that anymore. I know some people who do, though, as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Here's another flip side from last week. I featured a group called the Tops. The Tops, I'm guessing they were out of Philadelphia, was on Artie Singer's Singular label. It was a great tune. It was called An Innocent Kiss. That was the intended A-side. But let's give a listen to the B-side before I file it back down in my no-humidity basement, which has the dehumidifier working overtime for the last couple of days. But anyways, from March of 58, these are the Tops on Singular. It's called Walkin' With My Baby.
How about it, baby? Make up your mind and just try, baby, the loving kind. How about it, baby?
B-sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the tops from March 1958 on the Singular label. Yes, the same label that Danny and the Juniors had their At the Hop. Came out on the Singular label, but that's called Walkin' With My Baby. That is the B-side to An Innocent Kiss. As we continue here, 2 more 78s to go before I switch the needle to an all 45. And last week, one of the later 78s I played from my collection was by the Chantels, their 6th release on George Goldner's N label from July 1958. Not a common 78 to find. It's common 45, but not on 78. I featured the side called If You Try. I think that was the intended B-side. But listener Darrell Letts asked if I could play the flip, which again features Arlene Smith on lead, the lovely Arlene Smith on lead. July 1958, going out to Darrell. These are the Chantels on an N78 with Congratulations. That's Arlene Smith and the Chantels going out to Darrell Letts. Their tune called Congratulations. I think there were some graduates today, I think, at a virtual graduation. How odd that is. July 1958, Arlene Smith and the Chantels, George Goldner's End record label. They're from the Bronx, New York. That was their 6th of 11 releases on the N label between 1957 and 61. You know, I have one. It says the Chantels. It doesn't say the Veneers. I think it's I, and I forget what the flip side is. But I have it with the Chantels as the artist. I think the Veneers did it too. Anyway, on another label. Johnny G here, babbling on. Let's continue here. We're going to send this one out to George Tompkins, this group from High Point, North Carolina. And he requests, it's going out to George. It's the last single by this group called the Casanovas on Bess Perman's Apollo record label. It features the second tenor of the group. His name is Melvin Stowe. Melvin Stowe's on lead. I'm going to send this one out to George from February 1958. The Casanovas on Apollo. It's called You Are My Queen.
You are my queen, my one and only queen. queen. You are my dearest dream. You're the cutest thing I've ever seen. I wanna hold ya, squeeze you tight. My one, yeah, I wanna walk with you. Please let me talk to you. Yes, I love to dance with you, so I can hold ya, squeeze you tight. Open your arms and let me feel your loving charms. Open your heart and say we'll never part. Please let me hold your hand. Please let me take command. Darling, will you ever understand? So I can hold you, squeeze you tight. Yeah, you squeeze you tight. Squeeze you tight.
That's the last release for the Casanovas on Bess Berman's Apollo record label, sending that one out to George Tompkins, February 1958. The Casanovas from High Point, North Carolina with You Are My Queen. Johnny G here spinning the last 78 for the night before I have to remember to change all my gauges in that needle. But it's the last 78 on Don Roby's Backbeat record label, and it's the follow-up to the group's biggest hit. You all know the song. It was called Tell Me Why, talking about Norman Fox and the Rob Roys. You don't often see this, their follow-up on a 78, but it does come out on a 78. And Norman Fox has been singing live on Facebook during this pandemic. Of course, a lot of the acts they cannot perform, so they are singing online. They're going online and doing live performances. You can go back and check them out. But he was singing a bunch of his songs online to, I think, a cappella and also with music in the background. A bunch of people have been doing it. But I'm going to feature the true original version of this on a 78. Norman Fox and the Rob Roys from March 1958 on the Backbeat label on a 78. It's called Dance Girl Dance.
Dance, girl, dance. And while you're dancing, why not dance into romance? The boys all looking at you, staring in a trance. Go on and dance, girl, dance. Swing, girl, swing. You swinging thing, you. When you start to sing, you find yourself a guy and wedding bells will ring. Go on and swing, girl, swing. Swing, girl, swing. My heart is like a symphony. Its melody is haunting me. I hear a sound, I turn around, and then your feet go off the ground. My heart just sits in splendor, like a love song sweet and tender. Oh, hey, little girl, don't you know I'm never gonna let you go? Why, girl, why? Can't you believe that every star that fills the sky is just a portion of the tears that fill my eyes? Oh, when you dance, girl, dance. Dance, girl, dance. Go!
is like a symphony. This melody is haunting me. I hear a sound, I turn around, and then your feet go off the ground. My heart just sits in splendor, like a love song, sweet and tender. Oh, hey, little girl, don't you know I'll never, ever let you go. My girl, mine. Can't you believe that every star that fills the sky is just a portion of the tears that fill my eyes? Oh, when you dance, girl, dance, girl, dance. Boom, 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 till you
That's the final 78 for the evening, March 1958 release. Don Robey's Backbeat Records out of Houston, Texas, but Norman Fox and the Rob Roys, they're from the East Coast. That's the follow-up to Tell Me Why, a song entitled Dance Girl Dance. Send that one out to George in Ohio. He's digging on that tune here. That does it for the 78s. We go now all 45s for the remainder of the show. Now, here's a request for Nat Papagallo listening down in Naples, Florida. He wanted to hear an unreleased master by the Universals. Now, this Universals group, they were out of Philadelphia, PA. It's the same group that recorded on George Gollner's Mark X label. They had a couple of sides that Gollner did not release. For some reason, don't know why, but he did not release this record, this song. But it features the lead of Kent Peeler on lead. So this is going out to Nat. I think it's from 58. Somebody said one of the websites says it's from 62, but it doesn't sound like it. I think this record was released in 1972, though. They put it on the Southern label because there was some association with this Universal's group and a couple people from the Buccaneers. That's why I think they put it on this label, but I say it's from 58. So this is going out, special request to Nat, the Universals on Southern with Prayer of Love.
My love is a lost love. My love, another dream. Send me down a line, dear Lord, dear Lord, dear Lord, dear Lord, please hear my plea. I'm down on my bending knee. Send it out alone, my Lord, dear Lord, I'm blue. Dear Lord, you know that I'm blue. To send me down alone to cherish a love so true. And now that our love has ended, dear Lord, I depend on you. My love is a lost love. My love, a love I dreamed of. Send it on alone, dear Lord, dear Lord, dear Lord, dear
As by request for Nat Papagallo, that is a cool tune there. They're called the Universals. Universals, Ken Peeler on lead there. I say that's 1958. and it came out on the Southern label. It's called Prayer of Love, an unreleased thing, kind of using a lot of the words. If you know the song by the Continentals called Dear Lord, and maybe that's why Goldner never released it, because it did sound like he was singing some of the lyrics from that record, so maybe they thought there might be some issues possibly with Bobby Robinson possibly. But anyway, Ken Peeler, of course, was previously the lead of a group called the Dreamers that recorded on the Grand label. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. It's all 45s for the remainder of the evening, and I have another B-side from last week. I played a request for Matey Campboy by the Fantastics. She requested the A-side. It was their first of two on the RCA label. It was called There Goes My Love. Let's give a spin to the B-side of the 45. Again, it features William Forrest on lead. I'm going to ask Brian Korn if he has this 45 from July 1959. These are the Fantastics, not Fanatics. Fantastics on the RCA record label with Millionaire Hobo.
Well, the teacher told me once, then she told me twice. You wanna mouth or something, boy, you gotta sacrifice. If you wanna be a doctor, I don't wanna be a doctor. If you wanna be a lawyer, I don't wanna be a lawyer. Well, what do you wanna be, boy? Tell me if you please, boy.
I wanna be a millionaire hobo.
And then my mama told me once, my papa told me twice. You wanna mouth or something, boy, you gotta take advice. If you wanna be a doctor, I don't wanna be a doctor. If you wanna be a lawyer, I don't wanna be a lawyer. Well, what do you wanna be, boy? Tell me if you please, boy.
I wanna be a millionaire hobo.
Sitting in the shade all day long, listen to the music of a rockin' song. Take life easy, marry for dough.
She'll be my babe 'cause I love her so.
Well, I've been a senior favorite for 2 years in a row, and if I ever graduate, I want you to know I don't wanna be a doctor.
I don't wanna be a doctor. I don't wanna be a lawyer. I don't wanna be a lawyer.
Well, what do you wanna be, boy? Tell me if you please, boy.
I wanna be a millionaire hobo. My babe, 'cause I love her so.
Well, I've been a senior favorite for 2 years in a row, and if I ever graduate, I want you to know I don't wanna be a doctor.
I don't wanna be a doctor.
I don't wanna be a lawyer.
I don't wanna be a lawyer.
Well, what do you wanna be, boy? Tell me if you please, boy.
I wanna be a millionaire hobo.
Hobo,
that's me.
Hobo,
that's me.
Hobo,
that's me.
Hobo,
got plenty money.
I'm sending that one out to Brian Korn. He does have the 45. I was correct there, but that's the B-side there. The Fantastics, that's the flip side to There Goes My Love, July 1959 on the RCA record label Millionaire Hobo. We have some of those out there now, we do. But anyway, that group also recorded as the Keynotes on the Keynote record label. We continue here, and just when I was looking at this record here, the label, I know those of you that saw the label in the YouTube chat room, it's on the Arcade label, but it looks just like the Scepter label. Is there Scepter 107? Was that a legitimate release? I have to check my book to see if Scepter 107 was a legitimate release, because I think this might have replaced it, but I will check. But anyway, this is a request for the Colonel, and this time for Lee Andrews and the Hearts minus Lee Andrews. And there was a group minus Lee Andrews. They were the Hearts without him. They called themselves the Five Hearts. And as I mentioned, it came out on the Arcade record label. It was written by the second tenor of the group. His name was Butch Curry. But they recruited a new lead singer to the group, and his name was Tommy White. So this is going out to the Colonel, 1959, the Five Hearts on Arcade. It's called Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. People don't change so fast. I thought our love was a love that would last. It's unbelievable. Think of the love we shared, knowing the joy of two lovers who certainly cared. Oh, picture that moment when our precious love began. Remember the day when it came to an end. Why did I let you go, knowing I love you so? I'm so alone and I want you back again, so my heart can clear the shadows of the soul that is so sad. Why you can brighten up this darkness, give me back the love I had. You say that it's too late, oh, and you tried to wait. Now someone new has control of your heart. Still I would like to know, because I love you so. Won't you come back? Let's make a brand new start. Won't you come back? Let's make a brand new start.
Mic is off. That's going out to the Colonel there. Those are the Five Hearts, a.k.a. Lee Andrews Hearts without Lee Andrews, 1959 on the Arcade record label. I'm sorry, I said Scepter. It looks like the Scepter label, but is there a Wand 10? Oh, there is. Okay, because I'll show you the label again. It looks just like the white label Scepters, but it's called Arcade Records, and it's got the G&H. That is Barry Golder and Jocko Henderson. They are the copyright owners on this, the publishers. But anyway, those are the Five Hearts, 1959 Arcade. Not an easy record to find. Tommy White is the lead singer. Unbelievable. They have other releases also, just as the Hearts. I think on Chancellor I have that. They also have one called The Famous Hearts on Gaiden. That's another hard record to find. But supposedly this record also came out on the Casino label. Is there a Casino 107? Is there a Casino 107? I'm asking you listeners out there to check for me. But anyway, let's continue here. We're almost in Vinyl Treasure overtime. We have a request for Ron and Dorothy, the doo-wop couple. They want to hear the Cadillacs. The Cadillacs have a number of releases on Jerry Blaine's Josie label, about 23 in all by the Cadillacs. But this is their 19th, arranged by Jesse Powell. He's also playing sax on this. This charted number 30 on WHIL in Boston, Mass. So this is going out to the doo-wop couple. But who was on lead here? Because I think this is an older master that they released. But I think, is it Earl Carroll on lead for this one? But you let me know, those of you in the chat room. July 59, the Cadillacs on Josie, called Romeo. Boom, 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 boom. They
call me Romeo. The girls gave me that name. They say I'm fine and cool, the dream boy of the school. They always swoon when I walk by with excitement in their eyes. They call me Romeo. They call me Romeo.
I'm the playboy of the block, they call me Romeo.
As by request for the doo-wop couple, it was on the Cadillac's LP, I think, Twisting Something originally. Forget what year that came out, but they were all leads of Earl Carroll. So I don't know if that's Earl on lead or not, but anyway, it's going out to the doo-wop couple. The Cadillacs from July 59 on the Josie label. It's called Romeo. Johnny G is now in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. And speaking of the doo-wop couple, last week I played their request by the Lark Tones on the Ricky label. It was called Nosy Neighbors. So let's give a listen to the flip, which I prefer, the B-side here. And it sounds very similar to their first release on the ABC Paramount record label called The Letter. Now, I said last week that Leroy Parrish was on lead on the flip. I don't think so. I think that was another lead. He is doing lead on this side because this song sounds very much like their first release on ABC Paramount. So let's give it a spin here. The Lark Tones from March 1959 with Tico Wilshire and his orchestra. It's on the Ricky label. It's called Why Are You Tearing Us Apart?
You said you love me with all your heart, and now you're tearing us apart.
At first you loved me, heart and soul. I thought that our love would never grow.
But now it's different, nothing remains. You even told me you'd forget my name. I was a fool to learn your rule. It doesn't seem like I went to school.
Well, darling, you know I love you. Honestly, I do. Oh, my, you said you love me, and now you're tearing us apart. Why, oh, why, oh, why?
That's the second release for a group called the Lark Tones. Their first IBC Paramount. That is their second on the Ricky label. I think that was Tico Wilshire's label, by the way. March 59, the Lark Tones with Why Are You Tearing Us Apart? Let's continue here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. I have a cut off of an EP next. It's on the Audio Lab label, which is out of Cincinnati, Ohio, which is a budget label that was owned by a record mogul, Sid Nathan. Of course, he had those major labels of his, King, Federal, and Deluxe. He also dabbled into the budget label, I guess we can say, these are there was no cover that came with this EP, so I wish there was. Unfortunately, there is not. But all four sides are pretty good, and the tracks were recorded on September 27th of 1959, according to Ferdy's disco file, and they were released in March of 1960. And I'm giving a spin to side one, track one, but I think all four are pretty nice records here. The group is called the Incredible Upsetters, and it's on the Audio Lab label. This is the first cut on side one from March of 1960. It's called Baby, I'm Your Man.
Lama 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 lama
March 1960 release. I'm going to shut it off before Fred wants me to go to the next song. I'm not going to do it. That one there, March 1960, the Incredible Upsetters. That one there on the Audio Lab label. It's called Baby, I'm Your Man. Let's stay in the year 1960 with a request for George Tompkins, an ultra rare 45 out of Detroit, Michigan. I have no information about the group, though, but it's an RCA custom press. I could tell you that much. And I can tell you the writer, his name is Herbert Perdue. No relation to the chicken guy. But anyway, the label's called PMP. This one from 1960. They're called the Delicados. Deli-Cados. The Delicados on the PMP label. It's called Now I've Confessed.
more can I do? Oh, what a crazy old feeling. Funny, my dear, but it's true. You've got me gazing at moonbeams, counting the waves in the sea, whistling Caruso's old love song. People are laughing at me. Here we are in a garden. Now I confess. The moon steals the day. Now I confess. But when I touch your lips, dear, the moon just fades away. But if you ever should leave me, off in the blue you would go, I'll come to you with my arms wide open. Now I've confessed, dear, you know.
That's going out to George Tompkins. That is a rare smoker, as he calls it. The Delicados there, 1960 on the PMP record label out of Detroit, Michigan. It's called Now I've Confessed. Now, Johnny G will confess, I only play original vinyl 45. Some of them they don't play so well. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. And here's a request for my number one California listener, Matey Campwell. We go to Johnny Otis's Eldo label for this duo, although they're called the Tridells. You would think if they were called the Tridells, there would be three, right? But no, there's two. They are Anthony Fasano and Manuel Gisolva. And the song was written by Jim Carlos. Now, he was half of the Carlos brothers that recorded on the Delphi label, and it's with the house band, the Eldo house band. They were called the Phantom Band. They were probably Johnny Otis's band. But anyway, this is by request for Matey Campwell. We go back to July 1960. The Tridells on Eldo. It's called Baby, I Love You So.
Ring, ring, ring goes my telephone. Whoop goes my heart. You haven't called me since our last part, baby. I love you so. Ring, 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 ring.
That's going out to Matey Camp Boy over in listening in California there. They're called the Tridells. They're actually a duet. The Tridells there, July 1960 on the Eldo label. Baby, I Love You So is the name of that one. Matey, I was looking for your Betty Renee record, and I couldn't locate that one in time. I was looking. I thought I saw it here. It's misplaced somewhere here in my mess of 45s. Let's continue here. We are in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. With the stay-at-home restrictions being lifted in certain states, I think drive-in movies will become popular again. At least they were talking about it on the TV. People want to go to the movies. Well, you're going to have to go to a drive-in movie. And did you know this next 45 was given out at some local drive-in theaters? I think where this label is from must be, I think it's in Massachusetts somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. It's the Fleetwood label. So they gave this one out at some of those local drive-ins, which is pretty cool. I'll take a free record at a drive-in, especially this one. So last time I played this, I don't think there were many drive-ins even in existence. I forget who mentioned that. I think it was George in Ohio that told me he knew of a few of the drive-ins. But anyway, this record is appropriate to play tonight because I think drive-in movies, drive-ins opened up, I think in somewhere in the tri-state area, but it's from October 1960. They're called The Strings. It's on the Fleetwood label. It's called Drive-In Movie.
Drive-in movies, drive-in movies. Yes, I took my baby to the drive-in movies at 8. It still was light and so we had to wait. Yes, while the sun was setting in the west, that was nature. At its best, I was glad that we came early and not late. Yes, I took my baby to the drive-in movies and then I held her hand and I kissed her lips and then well, before we knew it, the show was done. Never had such fun, so we stayed to see it over again. Hey, the lights went on and the lights went on. The music played loud and then it was soft. Hey, then someone poked his head in the car. I said, hey, where do you think you are? So I took my baby to the snack bar for a bite. And aboard those pizzas and the burgers tasted right. Yes, 'cause then and there she promised me she'd be mine eternally. I'm glad I went to the drive-in movie last night. Drive-in movie. Drive-in.
That group called The Strings on the Fleetwood label, October 1960. It's called Drive-In Movie. I used to go to, I wasn't going to watch the show, I was going to a flea market. I used to go to 303 Drive-In Flea, it was a flea market on Route 303 in over in Rockland County. Used to go there with my Aunt Mary, and I used to have to walk on those rocks. You know how when you go in the drive-in movie, your car's got to be like propped up a little bit. So they would have these like rocks that you can like you pull your car up, and they had those those things that you hook on your window. You roll your window up and hook it. You can turn and it would never work right when you used to turn the volume. It used to squelch. You know that on those. Anyway, Johnny G babbling on here as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Here's a 45 I remember purchasing from Texas record dealer a long time ago, Mr. Doug Hanners, and I hope Doug is doing well. I haven't heard from him in so many years. And he used to host host that Austin, Texas show. I never went to that one, but I know a lot of people that used to go to that Austin show. And it's been a number of years, but he used to do a set sale list. I used to get that list. Used to buy lots and lots of records. Four figures used to buy from him on those lists. I remember that. And this was one that I purchased back in those days. This is a group called the Fabulous Valiants, and it's on the Holiday label. We go back to October 1961. The Fabulous Valiants with their tune called Your Golden Teardrops.
Dum 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 teardrop, golden teardrop, golden teardrop, teardrop.
Your golden teardrop have captured my heart, dear, and will never part, dear, for eternity. I knew you loved me when I first saw them falling from your eyes. So darling, tell me you need me, and you'll never leave me for eternity. Darling, I love you. Oh, how I need you. So tell me you need me too.
Teardrop, golden teardrop, golden teardrop from her eyes.
So darling, tell me you need me, and you'll never leave me for eternity. Oh, darling, I love you. Oh, how I need you. So tell me you need me too. Your golden captured my heart. Your golden I want you to know that they have captured my heart.
Yes, Daryl, not to be confused with the Holiday label that the bop chords and the love notes, etc. were on. This is a totally different label. The Fabulous Valiants, October 1961. It's called Your Golden Teardrops. As we continue here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Now, after Tony Williams left the Platters, that was in June of 1960, the group recruited a new member. His name was Sonny Turner. Sonny Turner was his replacement. Now, Sonny was the lead of a group called the Metrotones that recorded for the Reserve label. I have featured that 45 a couple of months ago, I think, here on the program. But with this next song, this was actually the first. With this next song, Sonny Turner became the lead singer for the Platters. I'm going to send this one out to George Tompkins, and this one from November 1961. The Platters on the Mercury label. It's called "Song for the Lonely."
Here is a song for the lonely. Oh, here is a song for the blue. Well, I know how it feels to be lonely. For once I was lonely like you. is a song for the loser. Here is a song for the lost. Well, I know how it feels to be loser when you find that your true love was false. Yes, I know how it feels to be comforted.
Yes, I know.
When you're lonesome.
Yes, I know.
And you're blue.
Yes, I know.
It's so hard to conceive.
I know.
I know just how it
I know.
feels. For once I was lonely like you. Here's a song, loser weeper. Here, maybe you'll feel better inside. Well, I know how it feels to have nightmares for dreams when your heart is too broken to cry. For once, loser weeper.
That's one you often don't hear by the Platters there. It features Sonny Turner on lead. Sonny Turner, he replaced Tony Williams as the lead singer November 1961. We'll send that one out to George Tompkins. The Platters on Mercury. It's called Song for the Lonely. Now, he did lead on 13 of the later Mercury releases for the Platters. As Tony Williams, he was doing solos on different labels. And Sonny Turner, of course, the Platters ended up on the Music Core label. They had a couple of big hits on the Music Core label. Again, a number of singles, soulful singles on the Music Core label. Johnny G here. We are in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Let's continue here. Up next, a group from Mount Vernon, New York. Their first release was in 1958 on the Atlantic label. If you know the tune Passing By, backed with Crying, a great two-sided 45. But Don Roby and Backbeat Records and Peacock, of course, he was also associated with Peacock. He had a connection here on the East Coast in New York City. So that group, the Versatiles, they were called, ended up with their second release on the Peacock label. This one from December of 1961. It features Ben Sands on lead. This is the same group that recorded on Atlantic. The Versatiles on Peacock. It's called Just Words.
Because of the way my heart is broken. May our love fade away. Those words with such powerful meaning broke our love, and now we're apart. Oh, my darling, I'm asking you to forgive me, dear. I didn't know the value of the word before, but now I know, my dear. Those words with such powerful meaning made our love go separate ways. 'cause the world with powerful meaning can also make a new start.
December 1961 there. Those are the Versatiles. They're out of Mount Vernon, New York. On the Peacock record label, Just Words is the name of that one. Ben Sands is on lead. That's the same group that recorded on the Atlantic label. Johnny G here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Let's continue here. Here's another request for Nat Papagallo. He requested the emblems that recorded for the Bayfront record label in 1962. This is their second of two, and it's the cover of a Nat King Cole song you all know. It features Tommy Stauch on lead. This is going out to Nat from 62. The Emblems on Bayfront with their rendition of the tune Too Young. Going out to Nat Papagallo. Those are the Emblems. Yes, there was a military connection, John. Charlene copied one of the other research lines, but I do on their other record. I have multiple scripts that I write on a lot of these records, so it's very hard for Charlene to go back and get a lot of the other data. But yes, there was a military connection. But that, and the lead singer there, Tommy Staunch, he went on to record as Tommy Van and the Echoes and re-record that song, by the way, on the Academy label with a much faster arrangement. But that one there going out to Nat, 1962. The Emblems on the Bayfront label with their rendition of the tune Too Young, as we all are too young, actually never too old, to listen to this music. And we continue here with another request for my California listener, Mady Campoy. We go back to Los Angeles, California for a group called The Numbers. And when I first heard this song, it reminded me of the Rays, the Rays that recorded Silhouettes. It reminded reminded me of that group, but of course they are not. But the writer of this tune is Robert Plainstead, who had recordings on his own releases under Bobby Please, and he probably owned this label, which was called Bonneville Records. So by request, going out to Matey Campboy, this one from May of 1962, give a listen to The Numbers on the Bonneville label. This is the first label. It was also released on the Dore label, but this is the first label. Going out to Matey, The Numbers, with a tune called My Pillow.
Pillow.
Chip, 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 chip,
My pillow.
pillow took your place. Pillow took your place.
Last night I cried myself to sleep. 1,000 tears ran down my cheek. I held my pillow in a sad embrace, 'cause last night my pillow took your place. Pillow.
Pillow took your place.
I closed my eyes, I tried to sleep. I prayed the Lord my love to keep. I held my pillow in a sad embrace, 'cause last night my pillow took your place.
Pillow took your place. Oh, why did we fight? Shout, shout, it isn't right. Shout, shout, 'cause I love you so.
My telephone rang just about 2. I heard your voice say, I love you. I held my pillow in a glad embrace, 'cause tomorrow you'll take my pillow's place. Pillow.
Pillow took your place. Pillow took your place.
As by request for Matey Campboy there, The Numbers from May 1962 came out on the Bonneville record label, a song entitled My Pillow. Now, this record started getting lots of airplay on LA radio, and Lou Bedell entered the picture. He was the owner of Dore Records. He ended up picking it up for national distribution. Interesting note, if you own this record and you have it on the Dore label, you're getting gypped by 10 seconds, because the Numbers, the Bonneville release is 10 seconds longer. And also this record was covered by the Delegates. The Delegates on the Celeste label in 1963 also covered this song. Now, give a listen again. I'm going to play the beginning, just the beginning of this Bonneville the Bonneville release, and then I'm going to play the beginning of the Dore release. Just listen to them here. Listen to the one on the Bonneville label first.
Pillow.
Chip, 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 chip.
My pillow.
Okay, so there you go. That's the Bonneville release. Now give a listen to the Dore. If you own it on the Dore label, you own it on Dore Records, it sounds like this. You're gonna be gypped.
My pillow.
So they cut off 10 seconds in the beginning. It sounds a little different.
Pillow took your place.
Last night I cried myself to sleep. 1,000 tears ran down.
Maybe even sounded a little bit different. Maybe it's another take. Who knows? But anyway, there you go. That's going out. That's going out to Matey Campoy as we continue here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. Let's stay out in California. We go to Ruth Conti's Chattahoochee label. And this 45 produced by Skip Batten and Kim Fowley. You know who they were? Skip was half of the duo Skip and Flip of It Was I fame on the Brent label in 1959. And these guys were doing producing in the early 1960s. And they produced this great group sound on the Chattahoochee label by a group called The Calendars, Calendars. And it's on Styrene. This is going to be played on Brian's. I'm going to do a special on Styrene Records. This one belongs on that special. This one from August '62. Give a listen to The Calendars on Chattahoochee. It's called "You Don't Fall in Love."
You don't fall in love. You just die for love when you find what you're dreaming of. In this lonely world, here without a girl, says you just don't fall in love. When you meet your love, hello, my love. Here's a heart for you to take care of. With your arms, take care. But dear, please beware, 'cause you just don't fall in love. Love is a miracle, yeah, sent from heaven above. You can almost reach that love, but you just don't fall in love. No one can tell me who holds my heart or what I am dreaming of. With your eyes, please see, please watch over me, 'cause you just don't fall in love. No, you don't fall in love. You don't fall in love. You don't fall in love. Fall in
I like that record. I do, but it's on Styrene that I hate. So much so that I have to own 2 copies of that record. Anyway, those are the Calendars from August 1962 on the Chattahoochee label. It's called You Don't Fall in Love. I wonder if I think they're the same group that recorded on the Swingin' label in 1963. Anyway, let's continue here for another request to fill for listener Matey Campboy. She requested a very rare record. Actually, I got to thank Mike Noriega for actually getting this record for me, because he was the one that sold me this a number of years ago, because it was on my want list. Finally got a copy, and it's not cheap, I can tell you that much. But this group is from Lincoln, the Lincoln Heights section of Los Angeles, and it's really a travesty that this song was released during the British invasion, which gave it absolutely no chance of seeing the AM airwaves, unfortunately. But it was produced by Cliff Goldsmith. He had a lot of success producing all those novelty tunes for the Olympics on the RV label. He also produced this one. This is by request going out to Matey Campboy. It features James James Hubbard on lead. This one from August of 64. It's on the Galaxy label. These are the Showcases and their tune called This Love Was Real.
This love,
this love, this love,
this love was real.
This love was real.
Mama mia.
Oh, yes, it was. It was so wonderful.
Mama mia.
Oh, yes, it was. And I know.
Yes, I know. Mama mia.
This love was real.
This love was real.
As the heavens were open,
Mama mia.
I can see the vision of my love
Mama mia.
that was dear to me. And I know.
Yes, I know. Mama mia.
This love was real.
This love was real.
This love, yes, it was this love that was so wonderful that no one in this world could come and share the happiness. And as I look at the heavens up above, I still could see that love that was dear to me because
This love was real.
Heavens were open.
Mama mia.
I can see the vision of my love
Mama mia.
that was dear to me. And I know, yes, I know,
Mama mia.
His love was real.
This love, this love,
Ah, this love.
That's going out to Matey Campoy. They like that tune there in the YouTube chat room. What a great record that is. Expensive 45 too. And the Showcase is there, August 1964, going out to Matey Campoy. This Love Was Real. It's on the Galaxy record label, so if this is an expensive 45, you can get it on the, I forget the is it the Showcase label that bootlegged the record or reissued it, that you can get it on there. So if you like the record, you want it on a 45, you can get that. But anyway, this group also recorded, they have another release as Mr. Zulu and the Warriors on the Score label. That's also a good record that I have played here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Johnny G's here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. We're almost done with the show here as we're getting toward the witching hour. Now, a couple weeks ago, I played a request for Ron and Dorothy, the doo-wop couple out of the state of Michigan by the Standards. It was called Hello Love, and it was nationally distributed by the Chess label. I featured it on the first press, the Magna label. They also asked if I could play the flip side. I'm finally getting to it tonight, and I think it was Daryl Letts also said for me to flip the record over, and it's a cover tune. This was first recorded by Betty McLaurin and the Striders on the Derby label back in 1952. But let's give a listen to this version 9 years later. It's actually recorded by a bunch of groups through the years, but it features Richie Tusonos on lead. This is going out to the doo-wop couple from July 63, the Standards on Magna, and their rendition of the tune My Heart Belongs to Only You.
It's just for you.
Cover tunes here as we wind down on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the standards. Going out to the doo-wop couple, July 63 on the Magna label. You can also get it on the Chess label. My Heart Belongs to Only You. It does every Saturday from 10 to 1. Every Saturday on Topshelfoldies and the Vinyl Treasure Show. Let's continue here. Got another request for Nat Papagallo, and he's given me all these early 60s requests. This one's on Vince Rago's Richie label, which is out of Wilmington, Delaware. And I think the group is too. They're called Teddy and the Continentals. I think both sides of this 45 are good, but we go back to the Styrene. And you know how I love Styrene 45s. It features Teddy Henry on lead. It's going out to Nat. It's Teddy and the Continentals from September 63 on Richie. It's called Crying Over You.
Teardrops, teardrops, crying over you. Teardrops, teardrops, crying over you.
Well, last night I went to bed, but from what you said, I opened up my eyes, and then I realized that I was crying. I was crying over you. Yes, I was, baby. Crying over you. Well, now when friends speak of you, smile is all I do. For I still have my pride, although deep down inside I am crying. I am crying over you.
Crying over you.
Well, we had planned to be married,
My dear,
oh, but someone changed your mind, and now I'm alone, so all alone. I'm alone, and I'm crying, and I wanna know why am I crying, 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 baby, why am I crying,
As by request for Nat Papagallo. Nat, do you have these in your jukebox down in Naples, Florida? You have these records. I know you're asking, you contact me and you say, Johnny, I want to get this record, but I can't afford it on the original. I can't afford the original. Can I get a bootleg? So at least he's doing that. And I'm sure his jukebox sounds fantastic. I'm sure it does. But he requested that tune by Teddy and the Continentals. September 1963 on the Richie label, Crying Over You. 2 more 45s to go before Johnny G signs off here. Now, it was a few weeks ago I played a request for Mady Campboy. She requested I think the New Yorkers, and I played Dream a Little Dream, and then I think she requested the cover of that as done by the Perez brothers that I played for her too. But I'm going to flip the 45 over because these Perez brothers, they do another cover of a song that was done by Robert and Johnny, so I think that Mady will like this song too. They're called the Perez brothers. They are Louis and Ralph Perez. I think this originally came out first on the Wolfie label, which I do have. have. But again, this Ophies 45, they dropped the W and called it Ophies, was easily attainable. So I'm going to send this song out to Matey. It's from July 63. We're going to flip over their version of Dream a Little Dream, another cover on the flip. It's a Robert and Johnny tune going out to Matey. The Perez Brothers on Ophi with a cover of the tune Truly, Truly Yours. My mic off. Let's send that one out to a Matey Campboy there. Hope she likes that tune by the Perez Brothers, July 1963. I featured it on the Ophies label. Originally came out on the Wolfies label. Their rendition of the Robert and Johnny tune, Truly, Truly Yours. Hope I don't get a copyright strike on that. I get problems with Robert and Johnny. I do. But anyway, that's going to do it for Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show. I want to thank you for joining Johnny G, listening to original 45s and 78s out of my collection. Please get in touch with me. Send me an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com to let me know how you like the show. If you dig on the cool tunes that I play every Saturday night from 10, say to midnight, it's 1 o'clock here. But I really enjoy playing my 45s. This is really the only time I get to hear them, but Charlene and I spend a lot of time putting the show together, so it's really a labor of love, and I want to thank you all for sticking around at this late hour, listening to these records of mine. It really means a lot to me for you guys to be there, and hopefully I guess you enjoy what I'm playing, my taste in music, but I also enjoy your requests. If I have the records, I'm going to feature them. If not, I sometimes seek them out, but I've really slowed up on my purchasing quite a bit. But anyway, I still do buy records. I plan on doing it going forward. I want to go to some record shows too. But anyway, that does it for the show tonight. So we're going to close the show tonight. We're going to close the show from lost my place, from 1963. We're going to head back out to Brooklyn, New York for this group. They were associated with band leader Al Brown originally back in 1957. With their initial release, it was called Missing You. That's a great record. Came out in 58 on the on the Peak label. Then in 1958, I think they also recorded on Scepter to make a long story short. Then they changed their name to Eddie and the Starlights. And I'm featuring this release on the Aljon label from 63. Eddie and the Starlights. Eddie is Eddie Justice. He is on lead. Our closer tonight is called Come On Home. And Johnny G is going home, and it's time for all of you to go home. But again, that's our closer tonight. Again, once again, thank you all for tuning in. Please tune in tomorrow evening for my buddy Dave the Rave and his Relics and Rarities show. It all begins at 9 o'clock, 9 to midnight, right here on Topshelfoldies tomorrow evening. And all the shows during the week here, beginning at 8 o'clock on Topshelfoldies, 8 to 11, 8 to midnight, different shows, different DJs. So you get different types of music, different genres of music. You got to tune in. Go to the website, Topshelfoldies.org, and check it out there. There is a list of all the DJs. And also subscribe to my YouTube website so you get notifications on when I'm on live and when I may be doing a show during the day. You never know. I like to play records during the day. Anyway, that's it, folks. Thank you, Charlene, again for all my troublesome helping with the research that I kind of force on you. Thank you so much. I couldn't do it without Charlene's help every Saturday right here. And that's going to do it, folks. Everybody have a safe and happy week. Stay safe. I'll see you next Saturday again with more 50s and early 60s out of my collection. Again, thank you so much. I'll see you next week. Just want to say, everybody, so long. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, folks, I didn't know that. I'd have to, well, check, John. Let me know about the Eddie and the Starlights. Let me show you the two records here. Boy, is it hot up here. I have an AC behind my banner back there, but I have to vacuum the filter, and there's also a bird's nest in there I got to make sure is not there. There you go. That's the Perez brothers. There you go. There you go. That's better. I hope I don't get a copyright issue. I have problems with Robert and Johnny records for some reason. I do. And also, Well, the only reason why I associated with John Clemente, I associated with Al Brown, is because, he was associated with the Peak label, so I thought possibly, they got their start there. Maybe it's part of the group is the same, and maybe not. But but anyway, it's from '63. Eddie and the Starlights there, so maybe they are a different group. Who knows? Anyway, okay. Thank you, Cousin Jay. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you all for sticking around. I really appreciate it. And again, I'll be back next Saturday with more records out of my collection. I'm going to go relax, have some yogurt, and we'll see you next Saturday again. Thank you all. Have a wonderful week, and have a great night, and stay safe. Bye-bye, folks.